Testing. I'm amazed people are even logging on to see me without me announcing anything, doing a spontaneous Q&A. So whoever is online watching this right now, welcome. Give me a few moments to set up here because I'm just basically notifying people now that I'm doing this thing. So just give me 1 second. Fix the camera a little bit there. Hope that lighting's okay. Too much light, not enough light. Maybe that works, I don't know. Okay, notify. Doing an impromptu live Q&A right now on YouTube. All right. All right, so YouTube is underway. I think I'm going to also go live on Instagram, and then we will get going. Give me 1 second here. All right. Okay, going live on YouTube, Instagram. All right, we are live. Welcome to those of you who are watching on Instagram, and welcome to those of you who are watching on YouTube. I'll give it 10 seconds here for everyone to join in while I have a drink. All right, people on Instagram are coming in. Welcome. So I have this set up same as I did last time. I'm live on YouTube right now. I'm also live on Instagram, and I have no plans. Just gonna chat some football. I look better on Instagram than I do on YouTube. For some reason, the lighting just makes a little bit more sense. But if you are watching this, wherever you're watching this from, welcome. Someone is here from Canada. Hello, Alex Uno. Welcome. Nice to see you. We're going to chat Real Madrid. You can interact with me on either YouTube or Instagram, whatever floats your boat. If you're on Instagram, you can actually request to join me on the video, which I'm totally open to because we can actually talk about Real Madrid. It's nice to meet people face to face. It's nice to get your insight and your opinion and see what you're thinking, how you're feeling also after that unfortunate game. Let's see. Somebody requesting to join. Let's see what. I think it's Mehdi Hassan, actually. Hold on. Let me just do view request. Go live. All right. While we're establishing connection with someone right now on Instagram.
Hey, Kiyan.
Hey, Mehdi. How you doing?
Pretty good. Oh, I mean, good, but Real Madrid-wise, there's no reason to be good at the moment. But otherwise, I'm doing well. How are you doing?
All things considered, I'm doing pretty good. You know, I've been desensitized to Real Madrid not playing well for a long time now. So life goes on, and I enjoy every other aspect of my life. I mean, I enjoy doing this too, talking to people, and this is the best therapy. You know, our podcast and just things like this. It's nice to know that you're not alone in times like this. So yeah. So
I was listening to you and Lucas in the Patreon podcast, the Mailbag podcast. It was a really good therapy session, to be honest. Thanks for that.
No problem. I enjoyed that one. It was nice to get Lucas's insights too, and I always feel better chatting the day after. Like just things have settled in a little bit. You get to think a little bit more clear. There's less emotion involved, so it's nice. Yeah, it's nice.
I I completely agree with that. I think after after a few hours after the game, it's the sensations are running high. You think everything is extremely wrong, and then probably I think the day after you realize that these things have been wrong for a while now. It was just not the last game. Yeah.
Yeah. When did you guys because you have a Bengali website also that cover this. So what's it been like over there?
It's pretty much the same how things are like on I think Twitter is a good reference point of how the kind of reactions you're seeing on Twitter. I've been seeing similar reactions on my platform as well here in Bangladesh. I'm not in Bangladesh right now, I'm in Toronto, but my platform is based on Bangladeshi fans. The sensations are pretty much the same. I think Ronaldo's becoming the highest goal scorer temporarily, took the pain away for a little bit, but then it came back again. But yeah, I actually wanted to ask a few questions on the things probably that did not get covered completely on your podcast with Lucas. One of them was we have you've spoken about this a lot before as well, that a manager should have the free reign of what he wants to do or what he decides to do. He should have that freedom regardless of how things are, because he knows whatever catches in his brain that, okay, this is the right thing, he does that. But do you think that Zidane would actually think outside of his old guards at this point in time of the season, or he just clings on to them for life until he is no longer at Real Madrid? Do you think that can be, as a matter of fact, as a turnaround, do you think he can actually think that route, that, all right, enough is enough, let me think something different? Because from a tactical standpoint, Real Madrid have not tried the 4-4-2 diamond formation in ages. I think the last time they played it was in the first couple of games of La Liga this season. And after that got completely discarded. Despite of all the inflexibilities of Zidane that has been around for some time this season, we have seen Zidane being more flexible before. So what is really stopping him from being that flexible at this point? And do you think he will be more flexible going into the season?
All great questions. And I think in some ways it's hard to know what's going on in his head. And one of the things I did remark with Lucas today was that it is surprising to see almost the de-evolution of Zidane, because when we initially started covering him in the first couple of years, we were all very intrigued about the long-term vision that he had in mind, right? The fact that he comes from Castilla. He has 3 kids in Castilla. So thinking long-term, how could he possibly be a short-term or a short-sighted manager rather, when he has kids in Castilla and he's promoting all these players and he's worked with several of these kids? And you fast forward a couple of years, first of all, his sons are long gone. I think his youngest one, Teo, was still there. Luca was sold. Enzo was sold. Now, that really has little to do with this, to be honest. But it is weird to see kind of it seems like that long-term vision has dissipated with him, and I'm not sure why. Because to me, one of the most exciting things about Zidane as a manager, apart from his man management skills that often a lot of people lauded, and Modric talked about, the fact that everything he says turns into gold, and all those romantic quotes about him. I was most excited about his long-term vision. When you compared him to somebody like Jose Mourinho, it was very clear when Mourinho was here. It was like, I'm here to win trophies right now. I don't care what happens after me. Why would I care? I'm not invested in this project. I don't have an emotional thing at stake here. I'm here to dethrone Barcelona, and whatever happens to Real Madrid juniors 5 years from now is not my problem. I actually felt that Zidane sincerely cared about that long-term vision. So what happened along the way, I'm not sure, but I think there was a part of him that felt like things just weren't going his way. And the only kind of foolproof solution blueprint that has worked for him and has won him trophies was what we saw during the three-peat. But it is also weird because if you look at how we won La Liga this last season, it was a deviation from the three-peat. It was a defensive team who, and Fede Valverde was a huge part of that structure and balance of that team. So it is weird that he's kind of gone away from that again. And I don't know why. I can't answer that. I don't really know what goes on in his head. There's been a weird regression this season with regards to rotations and stuff. And I've been vocal. One of the things that I've really taken to heart in all this is that I'm just not sure. Like at some point, this is the most exciting young group of players that Real Madrid have had in a long time, right? This is not Negredo and Soldado coming up. This is not Pavon coming up. This is not Raul Bravo and Oscar Minyamres. This is Martin Odegaard. This is Takefusa Kubo. This is Sergio Reguilon. This is Achraf Hakimi. This is for Real Madrid standards. Even this actually possibly could be the single greatest group coming up at the same time since Quinta del Buitre. If you go back from the 80s till now, I challenge you to come up with like a better group of players coming up at the same time. Raul and Casillas, they were two people, but at this many players at the same time being this good is extremely rare. So at some point you have to kind of start looking at this and saying, if one person starts to alienate all these great players and they get pissed off and they leave and they succeed elsewhere, that you really have to start thinking about the future of these kids, because I think it becomes problematic if you're losing talent. Because to me, look, to be really honest, Mehdi, to me, the talent is more important than the managers. I really do believe that. I think if you go back through football history, how important are managers really? They're important, but they're not usually going to trump the talent that's put in front of them. If you're coming up against a generational team with the best players in the world, tactics and a tactician and man managing is only going to come so far. Talent just wins. So I'm very skeptical of losing all that great talent in favor of a manager that alienates them. And again, I'm not going to say something either way de facto. I don't know the truth, but I do think that I think it's something that the club has to be cognizant about. And I think Zidane is cognizant about it. I think he's cognizant to his own faults. I don't think he's a stubborn dictator as some people make him out to be. I think if he really genuinely believes something's in the best for the club, then he may step aside himself by the end of the season. So I don't know. A lot of non-answers, but just making sense of this all has been a bit challenging.
Rightly said, Kiyan. And also, like Zidane, although none of us know him personally, but he's not a bitter man who would just alienate players for no reason. And currently, it seems like he's alienating them for no reason. So it's really interesting. It's an interesting point, I think, in Real Madrid's history, where what trajectory they take within the next couple of years for all of these players. But yeah, I think in one of the Zoom podcasts, Matt said that despite all the tactical deficiencies or whatever the schematic problems are, Zidane, being Real Madrid's coach, has a romantic appeal that cannot be trumped by anything else. So I think the end to that is nearing, and perhaps every one of us expected a different, or at least expected a different end to that. It's sad that probably it's not the end that we're going to get.
If he had walked away right after really that moment and never came back in 2018, that would have been the perfect seal on his legacy. But props to him for having the balls to come back and try to do more. And he did do more. He won a league title. So let's see where this goes. Mehdi, I'm going to take some other questions. I always appreciate you coming on. You know that. Lots of love. Why don't you plug? Can you tell everyone where we can find your work before you go?
So it's madridbetar.com. This is a Bengali fan-based platform that we run. We actually have 8 different podcast shows. So go check it out. Madrid, BETAR.com, madridbetar.com. Thanks everyone. Thanks, Kate.
Thanks so much, Mehdi. Have a great night, my friend.
You too. Bye.
All right. So if you guys are joining on YouTube and you're confused as to what's going on, I'm also live simultaneously on Instagram. So I'm bringing people in to they can actually join the video with me. I don't think that's possible on YouTube. Although if anyone can challenge me on that, I'm happy to bring people on YouTube as well. But I hope what you're hearing on Instagram is at least loud enough so you can get the gist of it. And I'll try to do a better job of repeating what I'm hearing on Instagram so you guys aren't left out on YouTube. But I will take written comments on both platforms. So let's see. Costin on YouTube says, hi, Kiyan, Real Madrid possess so much great talent, old and young, yet our results are not quite what they should be. What do you think is causing this drop in performance? The mentality, motivation, and tactics? I think it's a little bit of everything. And I don't think there's one thing we can put our finger on and say that's the issue. I actually firmly believe, and I've said this over the last couple of days, because I did an AMA on Twitter last night. And one of the things that I was asked was, whose fault is this? And kind of like, is this squad good enough? And I actually think this squad is good enough. And I think I'm in the minority in thinking so, because I see a lot of comments, just being the nature of what I do. I see a lot of Real Madrid comments for good or bad. And a lot of the kind of train of thought is we need Mbappe and Haaland and all these players. And, I certainly don't turn that down. I would love to have those players on my team. I don't think you need them to be winning teams in against fourth division sides or any of those any of those teams really that Real Madrid are dropping points. And so I think the squad is actually quite good. I don't have an issue with the squad. I mean, I think there are 95% of the teams, if not more, in European football would love to have the players we have. Lucas Vazquez would start for almost any team in La Liga. And so would any of these players. I mean, there's no question. I don't think the squad is deficient. I really don't. I think these players are awesome. I think a new manager that would come in and, and again, I made this example of Lucas today on the podcast. If you brought Nagelsmann into this situation and told him, look, this is our team. We can't afford anyone. Mbappe is not coming. Haaland is not coming. Can you make this work? I think you would probably look at this and be like, okay, so this guy Reguilon, I have access to him, right? Okay, Odegaard's still our player. Can I bring Jovic back? He would come up with something, and I think he would make it tick really well. And again, I'm not saying that necessarily will or won't happen. I'm just saying that I don't think that the squad is deficient. So when I'm talking about like issues and stuff, I'm not saying we need to sign Mbappe and Haaland to compete. I really don't. I mean, how many teams have those players? How many of these teams that are beating Real Madrid have those players? So I think the real tweaks that need to come are going to be tactics in nature. I think we're talking about more central presence, more line breaking players, more positioning between the lines. Somebody like Odegaard, less predictable play. And if you're going to go the crossing route, then put a presence in the box for God's sakes, and don't start crossing after you take Mariano or Jovic off. Little tweaks like that, I think, are going to be important. I think the team's lack of press resistancy in certain games has hurt them in the past couple of years in the Champions League. So whether it's mentality, motivation, tactics, I think it's all of the above. And I don't think this is, as much as we need a superstar, I don't think having a superstar guarantees you to play a certain way. I do think there are tactical tweaks and better rotations that need to come into play. I think right now rhythm is a big issue, right? Rhythm for the fringe players who are looking in, who can't get a start. They're not getting rhythm. And so the little they do play, we judge them and say, well, this player sucked. Didn't I tell you? This is why Zidane doesn't play and this player sucked. But is it really fair to assess it that way when these guys aren't playing? They're cold. They need some rhythm. We need to be patient with them. We're talking about players like Marcelo and Sergio Ramos, those two who are club legends now. It took years for them to become what they are now. Years and years and years of patient endurance and them in and out of the team. So I think you need to put up with some growing pains and accept if certain players aren't performing, are we willing to be patient and stick it out with them and not give them 5-minute cameos every 2 months and then get mad at them. I'm going to take some requests. I have a few requests lined up. So I'm going to go live with Nilay Desai. So while that's connecting, we'll see what happens. Hello.
How are you?
Hi, good. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Is it Nilay?
Yes, it is Nilay.
Okay. Very good. Where are you joining from?
Yeah,
Awesome. One of my favorite places in the world.
I'm from India actually, but I moved to LA a few years ago and been here since like 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk through like I've been bored for the past few weeks now watching the team play and it's been like really messed up right now. So I was like, let me have a chat.
The boredom thing is universal right now. I would be shocked if there's anyone in the world who enjoys watching Real Madrid play, our fans included. And I don't blame them. This is the reason I got into this industry is because I wanted to talk about football. It's what I love to do. I love watching football. I would be lying if I said that it doesn't feel like a chore sometimes, to log on and get my notebook out and start taking notes and all these things. And especially that last Copa game was like, well, what the hell do you even take notes on? What do you even analyze? It was very hard. And it's not fun. I don't blame you for feeling bored or whatever. It's not fun. So what do you think is a solution? This has been a common question. What would make Real Madrid more exciting again?
I think I don't know about the solution, but I think at some extent the problem is that Zidane has been just tired right now. Because the reason I say that he's been here twice now, and probably after the first stint where he probably wanted a different kind of team, which and then the board didn't actually help them out at the time. And then he left. He probably had some footballing problems at the time, and then when he came back, he probably wanted more power, squad building, and everything, which he got to an extent. But the players that he bought has never settled in. Like if you talk about Hazard, he's been in and out. Mostly out. Then if you look at somebody like Jovic, who had some off-ball, off-the-field stuff going on at the beginning, and then he had injuries and then COVID and everything, he didn't get his whatever he wanted to do with him, because he probably, if it was his signing, then he probably scouted him enough to know what he can do with him and cannot. But I think he just never settled in. The only thing we can say right now is that Odegaard, but he is looking at it right now like, all of my old players, the one that I trust on, are playing well. I don't feel the need to try something new. Plus, there is the pressure to always, we are already like 10 points behind on the La Liga, right? And he's probably thinking, I just need to keep going with what I have and don't experiment too much, because if he loses a few more games here and there, then everything is going to crumble down anyway. So right now he's like just thinking. I know it's been bad on somebody looking from the outside, but right now he doesn't have too many options. That's what I feel, and he's like really tired and can't do he's like just had it all. Like he's now frustrated enough to just carry on with what he has right now. I know it doesn't justify leaving somebody like Odegaard out when we desperately need him. But still, I think that he's just trying to rely on the likes of Modric and Kroos to get the job done. And that's why we are seeing the football that we are seeing. But in a way, it has just taken a toll on him. And he's reluctant to leave because he knows that there's nobody that can come in right now and make an impact with whatever is going on. So that's just I was frustrated after watching the last game. And I was really angry. I was like, I can't deal with this any much more. Let's have somebody new come in and get it done. But then I saw Matt tweeted a thread today about the financial situation of the clubs and everything. And then I saw that the club probably wants to make a lot of changes, but they really can't. And since this is not going anywhere, he's just probably frustrated right now. That's why we are seeing the reason, because we are talking about the guy who cried like 6 months ago after winning the title, which he probably didn't think he will win during the halfway of the season. So there is no way he can't be not into the squad building and making the team play good football. He can't be out of it. I think he's just tired and has taken it. And he has mentioned that before as well when he left for the first time, that managing a club like Real Madrid is not easy. It takes a toll on you, and that's why he left. Probably this is just something like that, since he never got to make a team that he always wanted to. So that's just what I've been thinking for the almost half a day now since I saw the thread that Matt retweeted on Twitter.
Well, look, this is it's not easy. I mean, this is I remember writing a few articles. Just the difficulty of this job, we can't underestimate the magnitude of how difficult it is to manage Real Madrid. Well, I think Zidane is very, very good at tuning out noise, right? of just staying centered, dealing with all the bullshit, all the stupid press who come at him all the time, and just tuning it out and being true to what he believes in. He's been very good at that. He always has been. I do worry about kind of some of the things you just said up there. I worry about burnout a little bit. You know, if he really wants to stick to his guns and play a certain way with the same players over and over again, that's his prerogative. I will always kind of let. I always have felt that if you're going to give manager the keys, then give him the keys and get out of the way. That's the way to do it. You can't go. You're either all in or all out on somebody, right? So he deserves the benefit of the doubt. I worry about burnout. I worry about the rhythm of the players who will need to step in eventually. I worry about losing out on future talent. I worry about the age of the squad and the lack of transition right now. I also worry about, I just kind of some of the things with the league title race. You know, I think if Real Madrid were playing at a very high level for a long period of time with this lineup, I think we're having a different conversation, right? So, and I don't, to be quite honest with you, Nilay, I don't care about what happened in the Copa. I care that it was an embarrassing exit. It's nothing new. Real Madrid, I mentioned on the podcast on Wednesday night that somehow, even as embarrassing as that was, that may not have been even in the top 5 most embarrassing Copa del Rey exits since the year 2000. That's basically what we just been in Copa. That's what it is. I wasn't too surprised that we lost. And quite frankly, I don't care. I will barely remember it, other than the fact that it was just a historic exit. But what I care about, it's the context of the season, right? So if Real Madrid were flying and this was a freak game, who gives a shit, you know? But it kind of is a symptom of something else behind the scenes, that it's just something's not clicking. Now, funny enough, I'm not worried about this team when we face Atalanta. You know, like I've been watching Atalanta for almost 2 months now. They can't defend. If they want to get into a back and forth shootout with us, I think they're going to get annihilated. But once you start progressing a little bit against better defensive teams, that's when I do worry. And I worry about the lack of creativity. You know, people will say, this is a common thing we hear is, well, it's not easy breaking down low blocks. Well, no, of course it's not. But you see big teams break down low blocks all the time because they just know how to play, you know, movement in the halves. Yeah.
Sorry to cut you there. I think it's this season. I think it is a thing for almost every league that almost every big team is struggling to break down the low block. I don't know why it is like that. If you look in the Premier League as well, the likes of Cities and Liverpool's have always been fighting against them. They already lost today as well. So I don't know why it's like that, but it's been the case for almost every league right now.
Well, here's the thing. That's an interesting point, because this is another common point that comes up. People saying, well, at least it's not just Real Madrid struggling, and that's true. I also don't. This is nothing new for like the past 2-3 years. If you look around Europe. You can look around Europe the past 2-3 years every year and say, well, Manchester City are struggling. Well, Juve are struggling. Well, Bayern are struggling. Well, this team is struggling. That team is struggling. At the end of the day, you know, the clutch factor, I think, matters to see who's going to be around the springtime. That's what really matters. The other thing I'll say is that it is interesting to look at the kind of the low blocks and stuff. With the low blocks, I think the pressing numbers around Europe are all down, right? And part of the reason is that because, well, it's just harder to sustain energy and your physical activity, because there's more muscle injuries during COVID-19. There's less players available. There's a lot more people who need to come into the mix. You need more synergy. So it's just naturally better and easier to go into a lower block. And that's why teams like Manchester City and stuff will struggle breaking those teams down. But I will say, like, if you watch Manchester City play, whatever you want to say about them, it's like when you watch their highlights even, or we can watch their full games, whatever you want to do, they just score the same goal every time because they know exactly where to be, what runs to make, and it's less predictable. And we can all see it coming, but the defense can't react to it. Whereas opposed to the way Real Madrid play, right, they choose the least statistically proven path to goal, the least probable way of scoring, and that is to go out wide, and everyone knows it's going out wide. So the teams can plug the flanks, and they plug the box with like 8 defenders, and it's just they pick off crosses because they know it's coming, right? It's predictable. It's predictable attack, you know. So things like that, I think they need to figure out some more ingenuity, right?
I think that because of the whole COVID, I think to an extent, team didn't get a chance to work on those kind of tactics. Like it's not something that you can implement somewhere midweek, right? And after the season, since the season started, it's like they're playing almost every 3-4 days. Now we are seeing that they have like a week or so gap between them, but now they're already like 10 points behind. So it's like a lot of things jumbled up into one thing, and nobody knows the solution right now. But it's like there are problems, but I think we should, given all in all, I think we should just stuck with Zidane right now. I think I don't know. I wouldn't be saying like it would be naive for me to say like I'm 90% certain he will get it right. But there is still a lot of chance. Like there is still a lot of chance for me that he will eventually get it right. I don't know. It sounds stupid right now to say that, but he has proven people wrong like time and again. And I think it's just stagnancy right now that exists. If we just stick with the manager, that's something which is really hard for us to do. But I think Zidane has proven enough for us to just like stick with him up until at least the season ends, and let's say we have a good definitive solution. And I don't think, I mean, the likes of Nagelsmann and everybody are good coaches, but I think right now this squad, if we have to continue with the same senior players, and let's say somebody like Sergio Ramos or even Modric or Cruz, they are going to be here, I think they would probably have somebody who is more experienced or somebody who they can like see eye to eye. I'm sure Nagelsmann is probably a great coach. So, and that was the same thing I had with Pochettino as well. Like I know they are fantastic coaches, but the kind of squad we have, which is a mixed bag of both young and old characters, but the ones that are senior players, they have won absolutely everything. And for that sole reason, I would say that somebody who has a established personality across the game would be a better solution. That's just what I think. It's not that they can't work with them, it's just that it feels like that way. So yeah, I mean, the only time will tell.
Yeah, look, I've been vocal about this too, and I love Nagelsmann. I really like. I'm a nerd, right? So to see a nerd be successful is really exciting for me, right? So because I love anyone who incorporates analytics and film and data and just kind of. What's that?
He's charismatic as well, Nagelsmann, to say the least.
Right, and so I love that success story, and I love him. Now, having said that, it's one thing to be a tactician and an analyst, and to come in and all of a sudden to walk into the Bernabeu locker room and swing your dick around when Sergio Ramos is sitting right there in front of you, right? Yeah, exactly. It's a different vibe, right? So that kind of authority and that leadership, that power, that energy matters. That's why Rafa Benitez, like they literally made fun of him, right? And then Zidane comes in without any of the Rafa's experience. And what's that?
I said Ramos came out in the press conference and straight up said no to Conte.
Right. Yeah.
A couple of years ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So the point is, it doesn't. You could be a great tactician and a great analyst or whatever, but if you can't command a locker room, you're toast. No one's going to take you seriously. They're not going to buy in. So that matters. Not to say maybe Nagelsmann can do that. I don't know. We don't know, but we just question it, right? So Zidane has that. But I will say, like, the other point you made is important in that there's no one right now, right? There's nobody. The people that are available are Tuchel and Allegri. Neither of those two names are like, wow, yes, let's give him a contract right now, right? It doesn't jump out. And if you wait till the summer, you're going to have to wait. You're going to have to buy out a contract. You're not going to just sign a free agent coach that's good enough. You have to buy somebody out. And the club has to factor that in. The financial situation isn't great, right? And unless you bring in Raul, and Raul is not going to be the solution, right? Because we don't know anything about him as a man.
Maybe he will. We don't know.
It's an unknown. Yeah. Okay, Nilay, I'm going to take some other questions. I really appreciate you tuning in and joining the show. Thank you. Thank you so much, my friend. Okay, chat soon. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Have a good time.
All right, so Nilay's gone. I'm just going to, as I kind of scroll through some, just give me a second here. I'm not going to bring in, I'm just going to formulate some thoughts and go through some questions that are coming in and out through text. I just thought it'd be maybe helpful to just do a quick like 30-second rundown of what kind of manager Raul is. And again, we don't know much about Raul because we've only seen him with Castilla. This is my favorite player of all time. He's my idol growing up. I separate that when I analyze him, but I would love to see him succeed because nothing would make my heart happier. At the same time, I'm very skeptical of Raul. And I don't know if skeptical is the right word, but I don't know, right? And there's always a fear of when a club legend comes in like that, what happens to his legacy? You know, Di Stefano came and his managerial stint wasn't great. There was always a huge fear of that with Zidane because his legacy. Turns out he somehow augmented his legacy with his manager success, and I mean that was amazing. So Raul, I guess the most surprising thing about Raul as a manager is that he is a fireball. He is like Diego Simeone on the touchlines, which was surprising because as a player, I mean, he had those fiery moments when he was getting into the opponent's faces, whether it's fights in the Clasico, some brawls against Bayern Munich. He had that feistiness as a player, but he also had a more calm nature. But as a coach, he's just, you see him on the sideline just pacing back and forth, running, screaming. And that's been pretty cool to watch, that side of him. He commands respect of the players immediately. I mean, he is who he is. He is, they call him Raul Madrid for a reason. Tactics-wise, he's not too indifferent from Zidane. He's not too dissimilar. He likes to go to the flanks. He plays very quick, direct, point A, point B, north, south, quick, get the ball up the field as quickly as possible. He presses a little bit more than Zidane did. He presses, his press is a little bit more aggressive, I'll say that. But again, unknown. Somebody asking about Guti. Guti actually was very similar brand of football to Raul. I just don't know what to say about him. The last couple of years, he's been MIA, right? So, all right. Somebody on Instagram says, Alex Uno, I think, says, why do we focus so much about Real Madrid? Why not question our competitors? Maybe they know us better than we know them. I'm not sure exactly what that question means, but if you're saying that we should talk about other teams more, we do all the time. You know, we watch, for our podcast, we watch Arsenal, Getafe, Granada. We watch Frankfurt, Milan. I mean, all these teams, Roma for our loan tracker. I'm watching Atalanta right now a lot for our scouting report. So we watch and cover a lot of teams. And on Churros y Tácticas, we cover all the Spanish teams as well, particularly Barca and Atleti. Let's see. It's always so hard to read these Instagram messages. Someone says, do you think it's worth noting all big teams are going through challenges, Liverpool, PSG, for example, etc.? Yeah, I think it's worth noting, and we have noted them in the past. I've always been in the camp that while it's good to acknowledge what's happening around Europe, I don't think you want to start getting into this game of, well, he's struggling, so I can struggle too. It doesn't mean we can't improve ourselves just because other people are struggling, right? So we focus on Real Madrid's internal problems, and there's many to dissect. I can't read anything. Funny, these aren't even prescription glasses. They're just blue light glasses, but maybe I need prescription glasses. Rainey says on YouTube, how exactly are Real Madrid's finances looking in short, mid, and long term? Can we afford an Mbappe or Haaland soon? We will need to spend to compete like we did last decade. We're not getting Haaland or Mbappe soon on a transfer, that's for sure. As free agents, possibly, but then you're getting into negotiation wars. And you're also talking about shedding salary from the current roster, which is not easy to do. If, for example, Marcelo, somebody like Monaco comes along and pays Marcelo his salary, something like that would help. Keep in mind, Bale is coming back on the books next summer. Let's not forget about that. I think you need to shed a lot of salary. So, how Pavan says, how far do you think we can go in the Champions League? My answer with that is always, no matter what state Real Madrid are in, I think they can win the Champions League. I don't think they are favorites, but look at Real Madrid's history. They've never needed to be the best team in the world to win the Champions League. So I will always say that there's always a chance. Let's see. Somebody is seeking another language. Sorry. A lot of people just assume I can speak their language. I don't know why, whether it's Hindi or another Indian dialect or Arabic. I'm a Canadian with a Persian beard, and that's it. I can speak Farsi. I can understand Spanish. and that's it. I can't speak your language probably, even though I look like I could be from any country. I think I've gotten Italian, Spanish, Indian, Arabic, whatever. I'm not that cool, guys. Sorry. Someone is saying people are partying in their building. Awesome. All right, I think I'm a bit behind these comments. All right, I'm gonna scroll down. Somebody says, "Hey, bro, can I join? Have a session with you?" Yeah, let me just see. I'm gonna take some requests now. Go live with. Are these requests? Sorry, guys. As you can tell, I feel like my dad on a Zoom call right now. Like that old guy at the back of the Zoom call. He doesn't know where his microphone is. All right. I found the request, I think. So let me see if I can go live with somebody. Landon says, when does your book come out? God knows. It's about 1,000 pages. What happened to the request thing? Okay, I'm not sure what happened to my request button, but if you want to join me on a session, you can request to be part of the video. Let's see. Let's look on YouTube. Mr. Sushi says Bale kind of reminds me of Josip Ilicic. If he's having fun, he can be devastating. Could be good. We kept him. I mean, this version of Ilicic is way better than just this version of Bale. Ilicic has been a monster. You look at his numbers across Europe, the only person who's better at him than creating offenses is Messi. I mean, Ilicic is incredible. All right, we have a request come in from El Guero Ranchero. Go live. Let's see what happens.
What's up?
Hey, man, how you doing?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Been following along for a while. I'm excited to have my Figo jersey on. Partly to pay homage to Real Madrid and partly to make Barcelona people mad. But
Which Figo jersey do you have? What year?
let me show you. That's right.
Oh, man, that's my favorite one. That's my favorite jersey of all time.
I love it.
It's so rare to have that's a centenary kit that had no sponsor. That was so beautiful and so much nostalgia on that shirt. That's awesome.
It might be from a Chinese website, but
Yeah,
it's not.
I wouldn't have been able to tell if you would have told me.
I went to a classic of Barcelona. So the jersey I wore, I had to make sure it was Chinese. I didn't want them to ruin a real jersey.
Oh, you went to the Camp Nou with a Chinese Real Madrid jersey?
Yeah, the one I wore was like the red Benzema, the red one we had. It was actually the game that decided Solari was to be fired. So
it was all your fault.
all my fault. I got punched in the head that game.
Jesus.
Yeah, it was crazy. We were at the very top, and the guard came over, and they were like, "Hey, there's a Barcelona group that drinks and is pretty violent. So don't look at them. Take off your jerseys." And we're like, "We're not taking off our jerseys, you know." But we didn't look at them. We didn't say anything. But somebody came over, ripped my jersey, punched me in the head. So security moved us to a different spot.
Wow. Was it a sucker punch, like just in the back of the head? You didn't know it was coming?
Yeah, I did, because he was kind of like on my side. I'm sitting down, and he grabs me on like with one hand on the front, and so I'm focused on that, and then with the other hand hit me in the back.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's rough.
It was crazy. But I'm a big fan. By the way, the way you write is incredible. My thoughts are, I just kind of want to hear your thoughts on Alaba versus Militao. Because Militao, I mean, the end of last season, he showed up. He was kind of spotty before then, but showed up end of last season. This season, we haven't really seen him a ton, but Alaba seems like a versatile plug-in that I kind of like, especially given the uncertainty over Ramos. So
yeah, it's an interesting one. But first of all, thanks for the kind words. I think that the Alaba signing is one that I've been really warming up to, and I still don't think it's an urgent signing, but I also think he's a huge asset to have, because he can play so many positions. And one of the things that I've noted on the last couple of days on the podcast is that with Alaba, I think if he starts, he's going to play a lot of minutes just because of his versatility, right? Whether it's for taking Militao's minutes or Nacho's minutes or Casemiro's minutes or Mendy's minutes as a backup. I actually think, but I think if you start him somewhere, I think it makes sense to actually start him at left back for Mendy, because if you think about as good as Mendy's been defensively, and you think about Real Madrid's exits in the Champions League and some of the games they struggled in dealing with the press, I mean, Mendy's awesome defensively, but at the ball at his feet, he struggles, right? So Alaba is very, very cool and calm on the ball, and he gives you that extra bit of security coming out of the back. So I think if you have like Ramos with Alaba beside him, that actually makes a lot of sense for your build up and you coming out of the back. But with Militao, that's an interesting one too, because I think that's a tricky one, because he's showed promise. He's also shown some instability at times. I mean, the Manchester City game last season was a big one, a big stain on his young Real Madrid career. But I mean, everyone was bad that game, so it's hard to kind of blame him, obviously. But I think Alaba will likely. It's a tough one. I don't know. I think he may hinder Militao's development to an extent, but also because of his versatility, he may just play other positions and may not affect Militao. I think it's one thing that we haven't talked much about is Nacho's future. I don't know how much, and if Nacho moves on to another club, then we may see it just be Militao as the fourth or third choice center back. That's an option as well. Yeah. So, go ahead.
It seems like Varane benefits from having, like you said, Alaba on the ball. He's a lot more confident, more skilled on the ball, and I think Varane really complements from having somebody like Ramos on one side, maybe Carvajal, where he's not necessarily worried too much about what's going on. I don't know. I feel like when there's a ton of pressure on Varane to get the ball out from the back on his own, I think that's kind of when he struggles.
Yeah, and look, Varane's passing has been really, really off the mark, especially his long ball passing, his long range passing, and I think he would probably benefit for somebody who's a little bit more experienced back there. Funny enough, that's probably why when Nacho has started in over Militao, it's actually looked a bit better, right? That partnership. So that experience and that maybe takes the pressure off him to lead the team from the back. I think that probably matters too. I want to take some other questions, but I also wanted to ask you about you. What is it that you do? Because you actually have a pretty big account. So what's your story?
So I used to sing karaoke a ton. I mean, right now not really as much, just because restaurants and things are open. But I'd sing karaoke a ton. I learned Spanish. So I do go to Latin restaurants and sing old school, like Mexican songs and old school Spanish songs.
Love that.
And then somebody had videoed it a few years ago, and then earlier this last year, so about a year ago now, somebody put up like one of those from YouTube, and then it went to TikTok, then it went to Facebook. So it just kind of like went viral. So now I have a following for singing in Spanish, which I didn't necessarily expect, but I'm happy about it.
That's incredible. Where are you based?
Right now I'm in Utah.
Okay. Wow. This story just gets more interesting.
That's almost trying to go to Mexico.
So you must be itching for this lockdown to end, right?
Yeah.
You got to get back in getting back into your element.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And you're in Canada, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
And
Boucher's looking nice. Honestly, I have Siakam on my fantasy team. He's not really doing that well for me, but I'm a Nuggets fan, not a Jazz fan. But.
Oh, really? All right. Well, we got one of our locals over there with Jamal Murray. Yeah. So this is a weird year. I mean, I thank God for the NBA to keep us entertained right now, because at least I actually find the NBA more of an escape than football at the moment, just because there's so much good juicy drama, so many good games every night, and
there's a ton of drama right now.
Yeah. So that's cool, man. So the Nuggets are off to a slow start. Are you worried at all or no?
Yeah, we have a 7-game road trip right now, so I'm pretty worried. But Mike Deporta Jr. Butler's going to be back either tomorrow or the next game.
Yeah.
So I hope that helps a little bit because I think Jamal Murray's injured or just exhausted. One of the two. Kind of like a Benzema end of the season thing we have going on with Jamal Murray right now, where he's playing a ton, but his production's dropped off.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like with him, you have the security that he's going to show up in the playoffs at least. He just seems like he's going to be a big game player. But yeah, I think he probably needs to be a little bit more consistent than he is right now, right? Yeah.
It's weird to say, like, Jamal Murray, I'd rather have him in the playoffs than James Harden, but I'd rather have James Harden in the regular season than Jamal Murray.
So that's pretty accurate. Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Yeah. The thing with Harden now is he doesn't have the pressure to perform in the playoffs now. He can just lean on KD and Kyrie, right?
Yeah, I think that'll help with that.
Yeah. So what was your name? Apart from the obvious username, but
Keith. Keith. I don't know.
Oh, Keith. Okay, got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You're Kiyan?
Yep.
Obviously, nice to meet you.
I appreciate you, man. Thanks for tuning in. Awesome story. So everyone go follow El Güero Ranchero. Is that guy?
Yeah.
Isn't that also the name? I've went to a restaurant with that name in Arizona. Do you know about that?
I don't.
Yeah.
Check it out.
It's really good. It's like there's a nice like taco bar. You can just stand at the taco bar and just refill. It's like a buffet, all the toppings in your tacos, build your own tacos. It's really good. Yeah, go check it out next time you're in Arizona. All right, my friend. Nice seeing you, Keith. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
Talk soon.
Thank you. See
All
ya.
right, nice cameo from El Güero Ranchero there. So I think he also brought along with him a bunch of new users. I think they like just saw that he was live and they're like, let's hop on whatever this is. So welcome to all those people who had no idea what they just tuned into. They thought they were tuning into some karaoke. Sorry to disappoint you, just some cold Canadian with a scarf and a hat on. All right, so let's see. We'll take a couple more. YouTube stuff's going on YouTube, some conversations. Someone's asking, what about a switch to a back three with Alba, Varane, and Ramos? That's feasible. I actually am a fan of 3-5-2 in general, or even iterations of it. I think the problem is when Real Madrid have done the 3-5-2, it's never worked. But part of the reason for that is because it's not it's so out of character for them that it's a really big switch to flip and all of a sudden go from the 4-3-3 that you usually play or 4-4-2 or whatever to go from the 3-5-2. It's a big systemic tactical change, right? So when Zidane has tried in the past, he's often put Casemiro as the libero in the 3-5-2, and it hasn't worked because Casemiro is not good on the ball. But I actually think it can work. But the problem is it's done so infrequently with Real Madrid that it's hard to get it right because you need synergy. You need practice. It's not like watching Inter or Sevilla or I don't know off the top of my head Milan or Rome. Like a lot of these teams that will often play with that kind of that 3-5-2, 3-4-3 scheme. It's tough, right? So those teams are accustomed to. I think Real Madrid aren't. So when they flip into it, it's hard to pull it off. My brother Zikos Soberan Zikowski says, I have a question. Why you were never a huge Zizou fan as a coach? I love Zidane. I always have. I love him as a coach. I love him as a player. And that's it. To be honest with me, I analyze what I see. If I like what I see, I will mention that. If I don't like certain things, I will mention that too. I always call it like it is. What I feel is without bias. But I've always liked Zidane. Zidane is someone that his posters were all over my room growing up. And as a manager, I wrote many articles defending him too. I love Zidane so much, right? So, but that I try to separate that from my analysis. All right. I think Elsa says hi from Houston. Hi, Elsa. Nice to see you. We're going to do a podcast in Houston at some point, I promise. Man, Houston, Dallas, LA, Vegas. We were going to do Vegas this summer. Heartbroken we couldn't because of the lockdown. Vegas was going to be so much fun. Oh man, Vegas was going to be so much fun. They were doing a preseason game there, and just didn't work out. Why don't we do this? Why don't we just do a quick round of everybody? Just tell me where you're joining from, and just say what's up, and then we'll log off. Landon says, when are the next Zoom podcasts? I'm not sure. We kind of took a break from them just because we wanted to take a break from them, but we'll start doing them again at some point soon. We're trying to space that out a bit so it's not every single podcast, right? We don't want the novelty to wear off, so when we do, we want a lot of people to be excited about it. What's up, White Label American from Brooklyn? Brooklyn sounds awesome. Let's see. Singapore, nice. I've always wanted to go to Singapore. New York, hey, what's up? Virginia, what's up? Almost from Virginia. Now you can go hunt him down. Montreal, hey. Trinidad, hey. LA, one of my 5 places. Delhi, been there a few years ago. Love it. Seattle, haven't been there since I was like 10. Love it. Toronto, hey, what's up? From the 6. Brandon from same city as Mr. Jawline. Matt Wiltsey, Dallas. Oman, nice. Cairo, nice. Venezuela, nice. All right. On YouTube from Pakistan, Colorado, Barbados, Tunisia, nice. Maryland, awesome. I have family in all these places. More Trinidad, Namibia, nice. Montreal, nice to see you. All right. So I said this I started doing these live videos like about a couple of weeks ago, right? So and I did them for a few consecutive days, and I'm going to be doing them more. So it's not just unique to tonight. We're going to do more. So I guess there's some housekeeping things. We're doing a lot of content on podcast form. We have another podcast tomorrow. We had a podcast today. We had a podcast yesterday. We had a podcast Tuesday. We had we had 2 podcasts Tuesday. We had a podcast on the weekend. If you're not following, please follow along. So we have 2 podcasts. We have one called Managing Madrid, and we have one called Churros y Tácticas. Managing Madrid focuses on Real Madrid. Churros y Tácticas is a Spanish football podcast. It's hosted by myself and Diego Lorin, who works for Barca TV. And the Managing Madrid podcast is hosted by myself and a bunch of other more awesome people than me who provide a lot of great insight on Real Madrid. We cover the Real Madrid players on loan. We do tactical analysis, preview, post-game. Tomorrow's show is the tactical preview of the Alaves game on Saturday. So search Managing Madrid on your podcast app. Search Churros y Tácticas on your podcast app. We also are on Patreon, patreon.com/Managing Madrid, patreon.com/Churros y Tácticas. But don't get overwhelmed by that stuff now. If you're just starting out, start with just the free podcast and then work your way into the paid ones. And your mind will be blown. Your universe will expand in ways you will never knew even was possible. So somebody says, which is the best podcast app? It doesn't matter. If you use an iPhone, just go to your podcast app. If you're using Android, go to your podcast app. It's the same idea. If you're not into the podcast apps, you can go on SoundCloud or just go on managingmadrid.com and look at the podcast on the website and play directly from your desktop. It doesn't matter. Just get in on the action. So thank you. We'll be back on the live videos a lot. We'll be doing the podcast a lot. I appreciate you guys. And I'm going to sign off. Follow me on my Instagram at Kiyan So. I'm not that active right now, but I am active enough. And I'm quite active when the world goes back to normal, and you'll see me behind the scenes at Real Madrid stuff. So, yeah. And if you're watching this on YouTube, also do all those things. And if you're watching on Instagram, go on my YouTube channel. You can also watch these videos on YouTube. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Kiyan Sobhani signing off. And Halamari.